Hello and welcome back to Asia Now. In this video, I'm going to talk about tourism in the Philippines and why the Philippines lagging behind places like Thailand or Malaysia isn't so much a bad thing. Let's read the question, look at some comments, and stick on till the end. I'm going to tell you guys my personal thoughts on this topic. The comment actually says, "Numbers don't lie. What a shame." And it's got a picture of course, many different countries in Southeast Asia, leading the way Thailand with tourism. Oh, quite the contrary. It's not a shame at all. The less people, the better. There are parts of Thailand that were absolutely stunning 30 years ago, but have been ruined by overdevelopment and pandering to Western ideas. The longer that most parts of the Philippines can avoid this, the better. Sadly, already Boracay, El Nido, and Siargao have gone down that road. That is a key takeaway from this. You have to consider that overdevelopment and over-tourism, we've seen it in many countries, specifically in Thailand. The first time I went to Thailand was 12 years ago, and I had a completely different feeling than I did in my most recent trip. Even last week, basically, I was in Hua Hin. And Hua Hin, even from 5 years ago, has changed a lot. Like, it used to be a place for older retirees, a golfing city, just a place that wasn't very popular, but now I've never seen so many foreigners in that city alone. Now that can be a really negative impact on certain people's mental state, or just visually seeing that if you want to go all the way to Thailand to live in a country that's different culturally, you don't want to see the same type of people, the same kind of food, the same kind of music, the same kind of behavior. It just kind of makes you feel like you're back home, right? So I'll get to that in a second. Let's read one more comment. Someone says, if we work in coordination with the government to protect the environment, we can increase tourism, which is so vital to the Philippines economy. Way too much trash in what used to be breathtakingly beautiful spots, and locals just openly dump trash, openly just throw their trash on the ground with no care. Even expats are better about their trash than most locals. I am normally very outspoken about positive Filipino locals, but in this case, they are harming their own economy through simple negligence. I think that's important to note. There's a lot of people doing that, true. However, let's look at it from a different perspective. If tourism is important, which I don't think as much to the Philippines as much as other countries, for example, so the government needs to have infrastructure in place, make sure how to get rid of all the dump that's going to come in if they have 30 million people. So I think the Philippines probably has some bigger projects to work on, and hopefully aligns with tourism in the future, just like waste management, educating the younger peoples, and just local waste disposal stations, something, just going around all these smaller towns. I just don't see any trash bins anywhere. I have to basically carry in my pocket most of the time. Even at night markets, it's hard to find a place to throw your trash, right? So bigger things, I'm sure, will lead pretty much hand in hand with increasing tourism numbers. Another person says, the fewer people that come, the better. It'll preserve the Philippines as used to be. The more country is exposed to Western culture, the worse it becomes. I'd be happy to have the whole country to myself. Yeah, so this is where you get two camps of people, right? I think what this person is saying, and what I feel as well, might be coming from a small, selfish perspective, right? We don't want any more tourists, any more foreigners, any more influence from the Western world. Many people that come here, long term at least, they don't want the same kind of lifestyle, the same stuff, right? So they got away from their home countries to come experience the Philippines. And if the Philippines becomes too westernized, it might resemble some of the same behavior, cultural norms, all the things that probably, I want to say, escape from. So one thing to keep in mind, that overpopulation, over-tourism may not be good for individuals like him and myself, and maybe even you. Another person said, that's what legal grass and magic mushrooms will do for a country's tourism and legit authentic Thai food. Imagine enjoying the magical beauty of Thailand with grass and shrooms. That is one thing to also consider. Just for example, myself or you may not partake in some of these activities, but there's a lot of people around the world that don't mind partaking in these type of extracurricular activities. Is that the right thing? Smoking grass and taking in shrooms? I'm just too scared what I'll see. But aside from that, people have like a wide range of trying to live their life in a certain way or experience new things. I think the Philippines still, it's a little bit behind when it comes to being progressive, modern. I don't know what the word is, but they really hold on to the values and the culture, and even such things like divorce or education, like sex education in schools. It's very hard to get them to take that next step, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not here to say, but them as a country, they're very conservative still, right? So I don't think it's okay for them, or they don't think they want to go ahead and kind of legalize some of the things that Thailand has been, which draws a lot of people. But then we all know sometimes when you have that many people, all of them not in the right state of mind, it does lead to certain crimes That's why a lot of times on this Asia Now channel, I can't even read over 90% of the things that go on in Thailand just because of the severity of it, right? So keep that in mind as well. Just because you have an influx of tourists doesn't mean it's all going to be great tourists. The next couple of comments really highlight what's going on in the Philippines, whether we like it or not. So someone says, if you go to the beach resort in the Philippines, 2 people, entrance 200 pesos, stay overnight in cottage with mold and cockroach, 1,000 pesos. In Thailand, night in 4-star hotel for 2 with breakfast, 1,000 pesos. That's the reason why people like more Thailand. But exactly like this is also the quality life there in that countries. What you want to do in the Philippines as a classic tourist: driving tricycle, a jeepney without lights, taking a ferry without schedule, using an overcrowded bus where you don't know where it leaves and go to where. So excuse that person's English and their grammatical sentence formulating, because I don't speak that well clearly, as you can tell right now. Anyways, what this guy's saying and the previous person, they make some legit points. Right now, the Philippines, if you're going to compare it to Thailand, which is the #1 Southeast Asian tourist incoming countries compared to the Philippines, it's like apples and oranges. It's not the same kind of thing, right? So the Philippines is behind in everything that's been mentioned so far. There are some very beautiful places, but you got to pay for them, right? If you want like 5-star resorts and 5-star hotels, you're going to have to splash the cash. Now, if you're coming there for 2 weeks or whatever, that's great and awesome. A lot of people come to the Philippines on long-term tourist types of stays. So they're comparing it from that sense, right? That's what I'm saying. It's really difficult to, let me just go ahead and tell you guys my personal thoughts about this now, right? So enough of the comments. The way I see it is, first of all, we have to get out of this mindset of generalizing everything, right? For example, saying all Filipinos are conservative, all Filipinos are traditional, all Filipinos are religious, or all Filipinos are scammers, or all the Philippines' food is trash, or all the roads are bad. Yeah, okay, that's very like generalizing statements. Let's get out of that mindset. Depends on who you are. If you're coming to the Philippines as a retired person that has never traveled to any other country, for example, right? And you love the Philippines, okay, you can see from your perspective saying, oh, everything's great here. But let's go back to over tourism. 38 million people, they're gonna have some very bad people doing some very bad things. And is it fair for the locals to lose some of those traditions, the cultures? The land of smiles is no longer the land of smiles the way I used to remember it, even like 10, 12 years ago, right? I remember them used to do the Y all the time. Whenever I bought something, went somewhere, this was the way of polite being, saying thank you or whatever, right? But now I rarely see that, especially when it comes to tourists. You know why? Because they no longer look at tourists the same way as they did once, whatever. Going to places like Phuket or Pattaya or like or Koh Phangan, all these places are overcrowded with tourists. You don't even feel like you're in Thailand. There's nothing Thai about it. You're hanging out with people that are just in your home country, essentially. And if I'm gonna go halfway across the world, I kind of want to see something new, some different culture, traditions. And then you go to these temples, for example, in Thailand, right? They're beautiful, but there's just so many people. You can't take a single photo without somebody cropping the head in there if you're into social media and all that. Aside from that, plus also you have to consider, what does that do for the local economy? They're going to be so dependent and reliant on the tourist money. Look what's happening in China. One bad incident, one bad crime, the Chinese government can, for example, put out an advisory and you're significantly dropping those hotel ratings and hotel bookings, for example. So what I'm saying is this over tourism or the Philippines being like lagging behind, it's not bad for me, my selfish reasons, because I just kind of want to feel like I'm in the Philippines. Now, for the local people, I don't think it's as significant. That's probably why they don't maintain or update their hotels, or they might have roaches or whatever. It's because they don't heavily rely so much on tourism. So there's no need to go ahead and do all this stuff for a handful of people, for example, right? So they're really, I think they're #1, like GDP. I'm not an economist, I don't know. But basically, the remittances that come from overseas Filipino workers is one of the main sources of income. So Philippines and Thailand, very different kind of looking at tourism. The Philippines doesn't rely heavily on tourism the way Thailand does. So it only makes sense that Thailand invests money into infrastructure, that they're just more developed just the way it is right now. As a whole, I'm saying, right? So yeah, those are my thoughts. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing because I just want to be in the Philippines because I want to feel like I'm in the Philippines. Recent trip to Thailand, I felt like I could be in anywhere in the world without really noticing too much of a difference unless I put the effort in. In the Philippines, you go outside on any street, immediately you know you're not where you're in your home country, for example, right? Everything from just the local surroundings, the music, the roosters, the chickens, the jeepneys, you know, some can see that as a very bad thing. but you should know all those things before coming to the Philippines. Now, yeah, I hope that they improve all this stuff so they can increase their tourism income. But overall, is it a bad thing? That really comes down to individuals. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about this topic? Do you think it's a bad thing that the Philippines lag in, or do you think it's a good thing? Anything you want to share. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the regular news content. Bye. Hello and welcome back to Asia. My phone just fell. Okay, cool, bro. Start that again. Especially.